Yo, hey. Yo, welcome to the spot. You know the truth is here. Bronx tales on a beat, we see it clear. All the cases, all the shadows, we break it down. Pull up a seat, join the fam in this town. Every story matters, every voice you bring. We don't just talk the talk, we let the facts sing. Logan and Bronx, yeah, they lead the way. Shining light in the dark every single day. Yeah. Curiosity welcome, questions never wrong. Here you belong, it's a family strong. From cold cases to the ones unsolved. Together we uncover, together we evolve. No gossip, no rumors, we keep it real. Every detail matters, every clue you feel. We vibe, we learn, we investigate. Bronx tales, true crime, let's elevate. Stay with us every night and day. We uncover the truth in our own way. Come here, let your mind explore. Bronx tales, true crime, always more in store. Yeah, welcome home. Yeah, you're never alone.
Hello, happy Friday. Hello, everybody. I hope you guys have had a wonderful, wonderful week. Let's thank Bianca for our new intro. It's so adorable. I love it. Can you put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me okay? Good to see everybody, especially our mods, Carol, Bianca, Pokey, Mandy, Christina. Where's Christina? Where is Christina? Hi, guys. Welcome. It's so good to see everybody. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Buffalo Chick. I thought it was cute, too. Bianca made it for us. So let's thank Bianca for her amazing skills, because I could never do something like that. All right, before we get started, everything is alleged and our opinion only. I have several things for you guys tonight. First, I want to start with, drum roll, please. You will catch us, Bronx Tales, tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central over on Devil's Advocates channel. And we are so overly excited to be able to join his panel over there tomorrow. Seriously, I'm just beside myself with excitement. I cannot wait for what is in store for his show tomorrow. So make sure and clear your schedules and check us out over on Devil's Advocate channel tomorrow, 8 p.m. That's Central Time. So if you're Pacific, it'll be 6. And if you're Eastern, it'll be 9. So we are so excited for this. Have you guys heard? We were just discussing it earlier and a little bit in the chat too. Have you guys heard that it sounds like several mainstream media outlets are changing their tune? They're now thinking that, oh, maybe there could have been other perpetrators. Gee, you think? We've only been saying this for how many years now? I mean, years now? Ridiculous. But good to see they might be crossing over to the smart people side, the people who have brains and can look at things and read things and say, oh, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't add up. It's quite comical that they are coming over to this side, it looks like. So I'm curious to see what else they come up with and start repeating that everybody in this community has been saying for years, right? No kidding. Wild. All right. So one of our fabulous subscribers, her name is Amber, she sent me an email. And I'm so glad she did, because I probably wouldn't have found this creator without her sending it to me. It just has never popped up in my algorithm. So I'm going to share my screen really quick, and I'm going to play you an audio. Although we absolutely love Outcast, he does great with audio. This is a channel, and it's called True Crime Forensics. And he's basically, in this video, he's kind of just showing us this thing he created to help with audio, especially with crime and audio that we hear, during crimes or connected to crimes. So he's showing us this program, but he's using audio from the Idaho 4 case. And it's something I've never heard, and I have never heard it this clear. So I want to show it to you really fast. If I can find it, let's see. Here we go. There we go. All right, let me make this bigger. So we have to use our ears. I'm going to play it. It's not very long at all. I'm going to play it and let's see what we hear. Let's hear what we see. Maybe if I have a play button. There we go.
Time frame of PCA for this case. So there's a lot of background noise in there, but I want to hear it. So how you use the program is you load up a noise profile, you record the noise. For example, this is the noise from that camera. It's basically noise, white noise that we're trying to remove. So you drag that file onto the top noise profile. And then you take the files that you want analyzed. In this case, it's the 4:17 a.m. And it's going to automatically give it its own save theme. You tweak these settings over here, click Start Process, and it's done. Now, this was the original. And this is the clean version. So now you can make out, oh my God, there's somebody here. You can even make out the crime with this plugin program. So that's one example. What are the time frame? 2:20 time frame. Just using it as a quick example.
So reminder, this is 2:20 in the morning. Let's not forget what we hear at 2:27 in the morning, which is that blood-curdling scream by a male. So again, this is 2:20 in the morning. He's going to play and he's going to clear it up, and it's going to be one of the clearest audios you've heard.
There's another one. With some noise, so you do it the same way. Got the Linda Lane noise profile. Again, it's just you take a 5-second clip of somewhere in the footage and you save it. Drag and drop. And then you go to the file you want removed. And again, it's going to give it its own name and save it. Quick process. And there it's done. So this is the clean version. You can hear it. There's a little bit of artifacts on there. And like I said, it's a work in progress. I just got to give it another pass to move a little. Sounds like little bits and pieces of digital static. But you can hear the dog there. See, now you could actually make out what they're saying. Oh my God, and then the female says, oh my God, and the male says, let into this. The program does a very good job at removing the background sounds, as you can see. careful. So that's from the 220 in the Linda Lane footage. So as you can see, the program does a really good job of removing the background noise to better hear conversations, yelling, screaming that is covered up by the background noise. So moving forward, I'll be taking all the audio, putting it in this program, and then cleaning the audio, and then dumping it back into DaVinci. So when I dump it back into DaVinci, I can enhance it more.
So let me exit out of here. Let's do this one. So as you can see, the first couple of, sounds we hear seem still a little bit distorted to me. But when he got to the part of the, oh my God, that was one of the clearest audios I've heard so far in this case. My apologies. Sorry. So now he does have a new video that he put up since he made this video. And I'm not going to play it. I'm going to let you guys go ahead and play it because I noticed when I play it through my computer, it doesn't sound as good as when you go to his channel and you play it yourself and play it through your own device or have headphones on. You can hear some things just clear as day that we have never heard before, that clear anyways. So again, this is the channel is True Crime Forensics, and he just said he's going to continue to use this noise reducer and take sounds that we hear on Linda Lane or 1112, and he's going to put it in here and he's going to do them little by little and put them out. And I surely hope he does, because this is some of the clearest audio I've heard. And now remember, this is right before the 227 scream. This is at 220. So when you clearly hear, we hear something that's going on, right? That sounds horrific. Something is happening. So when all the families say 2 a.m. is a dark hour, I surely tend to believe that, especially with a lot of the stuff that we hear. So again, True Crime Forensics, head on over there and check out his latest video. I think he does a really good job clearing up some of this audio. So I do want to share that with you. Now, I want to play just a short. I don't know if you've seen it yet or not. And this is by TrueCrimeDesign. And I found this interesting because I dug just for a few minutes after I saw this, and I found some other things that are interesting, may or may not have a connection. Either way, interesting. So I'm going to play this by TrueCrimeDesign.
Steve and Christy Gonsalves created a cloud computing company called Cloud7 VIPs that really only seems to exist on paper, and it appears to be a front company. It's registered at the Gonsalves family home address in Rathdrum, with Christy listed as the president, Steve as the director, and an individual named Marcia Seha as the incorporator. Marcia Seha works out of Houston, Texas, as an organizer of limited liability companies, or LLCs, and she appears to live in Austin, Texas. But her name is listed as an organizer for dozens of LLCs from Oregon to New Mexico to West Virginia. For example, one of the LLCs associated with Marcia Seha is Hank's Escorting, registered out of West Virginia. So I have some questions about the nature of this company started by the Gonsalves family. It kind of looks like a front for human trafficking, I'm not going to lie. Steve and Chris.
So it does kind of look like a front for that, right? Kind of strange, right? So I looked up her name and I started looking into some of her other LLCs that she has. Now, Hanks Escorting is registered under a trucking and warehouse company. Now, almost all of her other LLCs are trucking companies. Well, one of the trucking companies I found is out of, let me share. One of the trucking companies right here is out of Elk Grove Village, Illinois. Now, not very far from me. I've actually been there too many times that I can't count on both hands. So, what I find interesting about this is Elk Grove Village, Illinois is actually very widely known for females that sell themselves for profit. Very much known for that. And it's a very small town. It is about 30,000 people, about the same size as Moscow. So it's a small town. Now, this is also registered under a trucking company out of Elk Grove Village. If you look up Elk Grove Village and human trafficking, even Google itself will bring up tons of information on how many stings, how many raids, how many arrests, and it's a freaking lot, especially for a very small town. Now, I don't know if trucking companies are just a face for some sort of trafficking or prostitution that starts with a P, or what's going on here. But this I found very interesting. Now, almost all of her companies, except for Christy and Steve's company, are trucking companies. And I'm wondering if maybe that's a face for prostitution or human trafficking. I'll just say it like that because I'm going to get flagged. So I found that very interesting. Now, what is also a hop, skip, and a jump away from Elk Grove Village, and I mean you can walk there, it's probably 5 minutes up the street, is the bioservices company that was raided a couple of years ago for organ trafficking. And not only were they raided, there were arrests made, and the owner and co-owner did prison time for it, or maybe he is still in prison for it. And that's a fact. It's a bioservice something or other, and they were busted for selling on the black market people's organs. Now, when they actually raided this company, they found over 1,000 body parts ready for sale. And I mean heads, arms, legs, organs, anything you can think of was ready for sale. And they were busted and arrested. And that is literally 5 minutes up the street from Elk Grove Village, Illinois. Now, this lady, Marsha Siha, has tons and tons of companies that she's listed under, and they're all trucking companies, and they are literally from California to South Carolina. They're all over. And the fact that the Gonsalves family is mixed in with her for one of their companies is extremely interesting to me. And I think that it's important that we do take the time and dig into some of these things. You know, we should start taking one person at a time, one person that's a player in this case, and do some deep digging on them and see what what connections we find in this area, because I do find this pretty interesting. Why would they be connected with this woman that is specifically only listed under trucking companies? One is even called Hanks Escorting. And the town that she's associated with, now she lives in Texas, which is interesting, right? Because that's where Kaylee was going to move, and that's where their youngest daughter, Aubrey, is currently. So is this really trucking companies, or are these trafficking companies? And that's what I want to know. So I'm going to continue dig. I was going to do a live dig, but I have other stuff I want to do. So I'll just keep continuing to dig on that. You guys can look into it too, but I promise you that town and that company that is associated with her is known for organ trafficking and prostitution. Small town, shouldn't really be known for that, but it is. Now, let me exit out of that. So it's right off of I-90. You take I-90 to get there. You take the Elk Grove Village exit off of I-90. I think it's like East Higgins Road is what you take, and it's right there. It's right there. The organ trafficking one that got busted is in Rosemont. It's literally directly around the corner from where the Kanika Jenkins stuff happened. So weird connections there. Very strange. Very, very strange. Hey, Lana, good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you. So, all right. Really fast, I wanted to talk about timing advanced records, and I'm not talking about anything specifically that is connected in this case. I just want to take a moment to kind of dumb it down and explain it, because I'm sure there are a few people at the very least out there that maybe don't even know really what it means. And so I just want to take a minute to kind of dumb it down and just explain it how I know it to be, basically. And it's not going to take long. I just wanted to quickly do a little teaching session here, just in case there's anybody out there who doesn't understand what timing advance records are. So it's hard if you don't know what something is to apply it to something that you're looking into, right? In this case, a big deal was timing advance records. And if you don't even know what that is, you can't understand what anybody's talking about. So all I want to do is just explain it, because I didn't even really understand it to begin with. So I had to look it up myself. So 1 second, sorry. All right. So let's say you have a walkie-talkie, right? And you're saying hello into the walkie-talkie. Well, it needs to connect to a tower to get the timing advanced record. So let's say the tower is super, super far away. It takes your voice saying hello to take a minute to travel to the tower and register in the tower. So the tower hears you say hello, but they're like, wait a second, that took a minute to get here. So I need to figure out how far away you are when you're saying hello. So you must be this far away when you say hello. So the tower then tells your walkie-talkie, hey, next time, say that a little bit earlier so we can hear you at the right moment. So basically, the tower notes say, this phone or this walkie-talkie is this far away from me. It needed this much head start for it to talk to me. It's really nothing fancy. It's just the simple version is the phone talks to the tower. The tower checks to see how long it took. The tower figures out the distance. That's timing advance records. Now, the thing that people get confused about is that, when you drop a pin, you want to send somebody your location, you drop a pin. That's not what it is. It's not a pinned location. It's saying, okay, the tower's here. Let me use this. We'll say, okay, the tower's here, and I know you're here because it took X amount of time for your walkie-talkie to talk to me and for me to get the message. But it's not saying you're here. It's saying you could be in this area all the way around, not directly in one spot. That's basically timing advance records. It's the time it takes for your phone to register to a tower. But it's not giving you an exact location. It's giving you basically a radius of you could be in this area. So when Bill Thompson's talking about the timing advance records or the location, and he's saying Brian Koberger was seen near the area, he's not saying here's the house and Brian Koberger was here. He's saying here's the tower and Brian Koberger's phone could be anywhere around this area. It could be this far north. It could be this far south. It could be this far away from, could be anywhere in this area. And I just think that's important to know when we're discussing things in the case. To sometimes we got to start at the very beginning to get the knowledge to even understand what's going on. And it took me a minute to even really get what, I'm not a tech person, guys. I think most of you know that. I'm not techie. So it took me a minute to get that. And I was like, well, I'm sure there's other people out there who don't really understand it either. So super simple. Here's the tower. It's just registering that you're somewhere around it. So that's it. And I think On Top X gave us a super chat. Thank you, On Top X. I appreciate you so much. Very, very, very much. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday. Yeah, so just in case anybody didn't get it, that's what it is. It sounds way more convoluted and complicated than it really needs to be. It's not. I just want people to understand that it's not an exact pinpoint. It's an entire radius around a tower. Okay, let's see. What else we got today? We did that one. We did that one. Now, speaking of timing advance records, I do think it's important for everybody to know that law enforcement prosecution did get timing advance records for 2 victims, not all of them, just 2. And those 2 victims were Maddie and Xana. Well, they must have thought that Maddie and Xana were the targets. And what's interesting about that is who is also left off of the WSU lawsuit is Maddie's dad and Xana's mom. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, so let's do this one. This one? No, this one. So, I've heard a lot lately people talking about, thank you, Carol. So sweet. I appreciate you. Thank you, Carol. Carol sent a $9.99 super chat, super sticker. Thank you, Carol. I appreciate you. Okay, so I've heard a lot lately about people saying that, hey, a lot of states don't use touch DNA. It's not even admissible in court. And I was kind of like, dang, that means that if it's not admissible in certain states, then that's kind of a big deal, right? Because that means it's misleading information, which it is. However, what I found out was that it is admissible in every court in every state. However, it is up to the judge's discretion to let in touch DNA or trace DNA evidence because of how misleading it can be. Simply by saying touch DNA, you think somebody touched it, and that's not true. So it's up to the judge and how much clear, concise evidence they have in regards to the trace DNA. Is it possible that this person is connected to the crime, or is it possible that this person's DNA got on this object or mixed in with the crime scene because of some other reason, because transferred DNA is transferred through people and their homes all throughout the day? I'm sure I have 10 different people's DNA in my home, and I have never had 10 people in my home before. So it's very, very misleading. So it's up to the judge's discretion. Now, you can bet with Hippler and being up the butt of Bill Thompson, you know he was going to let Bill Thompson admit anything he wanted into his courtroom. There's no way that Judge Hippler was going to say, I don't think that this evidence, I don't think we have enough information on this evidence. You know what I'm saying? Hippler would have never done that. He was never on the side of the defense, or really was even fair as far as what the defense was asking for in this case, right? It was very, very one-sided for Hippler, in my opinion. That's what it came off to me. That's what it looked like to me. So there's a couple of cases, State versus Dawson in Connecticut, Dunning v. State in Texas, State v. Phillips in South Carolina, and Jones v. State in Connecticut. There are tons of them where trace or touch DNA was not allowed into the courtroom because there wasn't enough information or enough evidence to suggest that, yes, that DNA got there in the commission of a crime. And the thing is in these particular, the State v. Dawson, in these cases, they had the same amount of evidence, if not more, than the Kohberger case. But yet, Judge Hippler was all for the DNA. Judge Hippler said, DNA is DNA, and all throughout the week and twice on Sunday. No, sir, that is not how it works. And it makes me wonder, did he need educating on DNA, touch DNA, trace DNA? I think he probably did, because these cases that I have on the screen did not allow it. They did not feel that there was enough information or evidence. You can't just have touch DNA and say, here it is, they committed the crime. That's not how it works. Because in many, many, many cases, touch DNA is so minuscule that it could just be transferred DNA and not the fact that that person was actually at the crime scene or touched the object at the crime scene. And I feel, in my opinion, that's how it should have been in this case. Either they should have gotten more evidence, or they should have said, that's just not enough. That's just not enough, because honestly, mixing it with a white car that we don't even know whose it is, there is not one person that can tell you who that white car belongs to, or silver car, or tan car. We don't even know it's a white car. It's not that we have a license plate that matches up to Brian Kohberger. No, we just have a light colored vehicle, and that's all we can see. And that's all prosecution could see. And that's all law enforcement could see. They don't have a license plate. It would have been different if we would have seen a license plate and connected it to Brian Kohberger, and then we have the touch DNA. But that's not how it is. So, in my opinion, I don't think that even the touch DNA should have been admissible in court. And if we go back to the study that Lana shared with us, the study that was done at UC Davis, which is in Idaho, and they did a study, and I've talked about this many times because I found it so important that Lana found that. UC Davis did a study about transferred DNA and how much DNA you get from physically touching an object as opposed to touching somebody else's hand, and that person's hand touches an object, and how much of your DNA that person's hand got on that object. And the amount of DNA they found of Brian Kohberger's was less than the amount that the study found to have as far as a secondary transfer of DNA. So they did so many different, they did a control. This is what you would do, and this is what you would get if it was a primary transfer, and this is what you would do, and this is what you would get if it was a secondary transfer. And there was less than the secondary transfer amount of Brian Kohberger's DNA, which told me in that moment that Brian Kohberger didn't even physically touch the knife sheath. There wasn't enough DNA for him to physically touch it himself. It had to either be transferred onto there, or somebody else touched the pin pad at the grocery store right after Brian Kohberger, and then at some point touched the knife sheath and then left the knife sheath at the crime. or was planted. Whatever you want to think. But either way, the DNA on the knife sheath was less than that of a secondary transfer, which is so, so important. So yeah, you have to have a certain amount of scientific evidence for touch DNA to be admissible in court, or for a judge to say, yeah, I think there's enough, right? But I don't even think we did that in this case. And Hippler was like, oh, DNA is DNA every day of the week and twice on Sunday. No, sir, that's really not how it works at all. And I want to say, well, Judge Hippler should go eat one kernel of corn for dinner. And then when he complains about he's hungry, say, well, you ate? And he's like, yeah, I had one kernel of corn. Well, food is food every day of the week and twice on Sunday. It just doesn't work that way. The amount matters. And the amount matters in this case. All right. What's going on in the chat? What are you guys up to in there? Yes, RJ says, but the FBI magically doubled the size of the sample and then used the back door into Israel database. There is no IgG. The back door is the feds uploading your DNA under your name as if it's you doing it. And that's how they got to it, which is unbelievable to me. Tomboy says, or they swabbed something of his and then swabbed the strap of the sheath. You know, as many times as they had pulled him over, I would think they would have his DNA all over all types of different things, right? I mean, he even went to the police station to interview for a job. They, I'm sure, had papers with his DNA on it. I'm sure he touched pens that had his DNA on it. He was pulled over. He signed with the officer's pen. You know what I mean? There's a lot of ways that his DNA could have gotten there, and it could have gotten there completely innocently. Like I said, he goes to the checkout and he punches his PIN code into the PIN pad, and then the next person behind him touches the same PIN pad, and then he goes and commits a crime. Well, he's now got Brian Koberger's DNA on his fingers. It's that simple. That's why touch DNA is so wishy-washy and shouldn't just be blindly admitted into court. There should be scientific connections in other ways than just a minuscule amount of touch DNA. So yeah, exactly. Inside Your Bone says no work, no DNA. Yep. I mean, we don't even have a direct chain of custody for things in this case. And I'm pretty sure DNA is one of them, or the sheath is one of them. RJ says, and that's how they get into databases that don't allow law enforcement to access them. They just use your name and the databases are none the wiser. Well, and then they just share it. Why does law enforcement need access when you know the people that work there or the owner or the CEO, like the middlemans, are just going to share it as a tip anyway? Bogus. So bogus. And then I showed you yesterday a video where the, what's his name? Middleman. I forgot his first name. David, maybe. Middleman, who's the owner and CEO of Othram, who agreed in an interview saying that they got the DNA from the button snap. And then I showed you the other day another article from a director of Othram that said, we got the DNA from the button snap. You mean you don't know where you swabbed? You don't know where you got this DNA from? Because why is everything now saying the strap? That's important. You don't know where you swabbed? And to me, that's wild. Wild stuff. But yet, completely admissible, right? That alone should have gotten it kicked out. You mean you don't even know which one was it? You don't know where you got it from? Well, then you don't even know where you got it from. It shouldn't be in court. And they think that having that less than a secondary transfer amount of DNA mixed with a light colored vehicle, no license plate, no match, no nothing, just a light colored vehicle, makes him then plea out because he doesn't want the death penalty, and his lawyer wasn't getting, his public defender wasn't getting all the information she needed to even defend her client. And he's like, whoa, like my public defender can't even defend me because they're not giving her the information she needs, the evidence that she needs to defend her client. And he's like, yeah, peace out. I'm out. I'm not getting shot because they are grimy and slimy and won't give the evidence to my public defender to defend me in a death penalty case? No, I'll take a plea and fight from prison. That's fine. That's what I would do. I would have done the same thing he did. No questions. Oh, that's true too. That's true. That's so true. RJ says Othram never received the sheath itself. They got a vial with a sample. So you mean ISP doesn't have a clue where they swabbed? Did they tell them the button and that's not where it was? Like, what is going on here? They can't keep changing it. And it just boggles my mind why we have so many guilters out there, but it looks like some people are starting to change their mind. You know, I wonder how a lot of the guilters feel after seeing News Nation say, well, maybe there could have been a second person there. Or maybe it just wasn't Brian Koberger and that second person is the actual perpetrator with other people. Idiots. All right. Now, let me see here. Maybe. Hold on. I'm looking for something. Give me 1 second. All right, guys. I'm going to put this link in the chat. If you would like to use this time to go ahead and call in and have a very short conversation, and I'll give you a quick topic that we can talk about. I'd love to hear from any of you that, look, we're very laid back. Nobody's judging you. If you want to call in and chit chat about what is going on in this case, my question is, maybe if it'll show up. My question is, what is the biggest problem that you have with this case? And that's weird. Why is it not showing? Huh. Anyway, what is the biggest part of this case that you struggle with the most? And the problem actually is that we have so many problems to choose from, right? It could be anywhere from the DNA to Ann Taylor not receiving enough evidence, to the blood evidence, whose blood and where, to the way the prosecution words things and how misleading they are, to Molly, the DoorDasher, to suspect vehicle 1, to the sheath, to the whole timeline, to the 8-hour delay. It could be anything. If anybody wants to call in and talk to me about what your biggest part of the case that you struggle with the most, I would absolutely love to hear from you. We'll give about, we'll give a few minutes and see if anybody wants to call in. Anybody, don't be shy. All right. So Yeah, let's call in. It'll be fun. Tell me what you struggle with. Tell me what your problems are in this case. Or you can just type it in the chat too, and we can talk about it from there. I'm trying to figure out how to get this thing off my screen. There we go. Let's see. The whole case. You know what? That's the problem too. That is absolutely the problem. The problem, whoops, is that this whole case is so messed up. The whole entire case, there shouldn't be this many problems within one case. Let's see. Come on, Steven, click the link. You guys don't forget that tomorrow we will be on Devil's Advocate. So make sure and tune in there. I'll post the link on my channel as soon as he sends it to me. So don't forget to tune in tomorrow, 8 p.m. Central Time. That is going to be so much fun. I'm so excited to be over on Devil's Advocate's channel and talk about all the things, Yeah, Bronx wants to hear your voice. Somebody call in. No, you don't have to if you don't want to. We can just keep talking about it. You think the police are protecting one of their own? I do think that that's a huge possibility. So I've really been struggling lately with this black SUV that we've now heard about from 2 different people. Could it be possible that Kaylee had to stay because she was working on a project and she was the CI? Now, this is all speculation. This is completely just opinion and speculation. Could it be possible that Kaylee had to work on a new project as a CI and that's why she couldn't go to Texas yet? Could it be possible that there was going to be a controlled buy and a raid at 1122? And that's what that black SUV and that silver car were doing, sitting on the street in front of their house early in the morning? Could it be that they did the control buy? However, it went extremely wrong. But FBI cannot have unalivings during a controlled buy. So they would have to cover it up. Let's see. All right. Let me figure out how to bring you to the stage. There we go. Oh, you're sideways. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you perfect. Gina, you're upside down, but
I know I don't know how to get myself straight. I was hoping I was just going to find the phone number, but there's a camera involved, and
here.
But I have some thoughts.
There we go. There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, there we go. So, yeah, tell me your thoughts. What is the biggest part of this case that you struggle with the absolute most, and why?
I actually really closely followed the Some Innocence project, specifically Undisclosed podcast. Have you ever listened to or followed any of their work?
Yeah, I have. I have watched them before. Yep.
So after listening to them for many, many years, you do start to recognize certain patterns that are going on in cases. And when I first heard that there was DNA on the knife sheath, my first question was, well, how did it get on there? Did somebody hand this guy the knife sheath and move it to the scene? Was it a friend of somebody that they knew? And that's kind of where I started my whole thing. I kept waiting to be shown how the DNA got on the knife sheath. And everything is just proven that nobody really knows. And it's not, there's no real trail to it, is there?
No, there's not. Another thing along with the knife sheath that I struggle with as well, not only the DNA and how it got there, was how did the knife sheath get pulled off of a belt loop? I mean, they're literally made to not be pulled off. So how did it even come off?
Exactly. I mean, I thought, well, maybe somebody like handed it to Brian and said, "Oh, look, I got this cool knife sheath," and they went, "Oh, cool," you know. So I kept waiting for that to kind of come up, and yeah, it never did. So yeah, the fact that the knife sheath is something that's so movable and so weird to be at the scene, it's just like not a thing.
Yeah, I completely agree with you that number one, it is a removable object. So in my opinion, let's say there was way more of his DNA on the knife sheath. I still think you would have to have something else that ties Brian to the crime to be able to use the DNA in court that they have on the knife sheath, or they say they have on the knife sheath. Would
Exactly.
you
I agree
agree?
with you. The whole time I just kept waiting. Well, where's the next thing? Where's something else that shows it? Where's some other evidence besides that? That alone isn't even the slightest of little things. And then the other thing that I kept waiting to come up into the case was the confidential informant.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that that's like another way that they will just railroad somebody into any type of crime, is all they have to do is have one of their buddies or person who's coerced into being into that position agree that to anything that they want to say, really. They can say anything.
Yep.
And it wasn't long before that became
Yep.
part of the conversation.
Yeah, I don't think that the DNA on the knife sheath should have been able to be admissible in court without having something else that connected Brian Koberger to this crime. And for me, the car isn't enough. And
Oh,
since
no.
they didn't have anything else, then you shouldn't be able to have this tiny, minuscule amount of touch DNA admitted into court.
Oh, I know. That's what it's like, almost so bizarre that they don't have any paper trail, anything connecting even how they got it and going through the regular evidence channels. All of that is absent. And you'd think that right there would just throw the case out.
Yep. You would
Yeah.
think so. All right. Thank you so much, Gina, for calling in. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Sorry, it was
Yes.
so awkward with the phone and everything. But
No, you're not at all. That was my fault. I should have undid the camera first, but I got you now. This is my first time too. So we're learning together and I appreciate you.
Oh, cool. Thank you. I
All
appreciate you
right.
too.
Have a great weekend. Don't forget to check us out on DA's channel tomorrow.
Okay, that sounds great. I will
All
be
right.
watching.
Thanks, Gina. Have a good night.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye-bye. All right. We have Tracy in the house. Tracy in the house. Well, can you hear me, Tracy? Are you there? Are you there? No? We'll give you one more second. No? Okay. The Maven. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. What is your biggest part of this case that you struggle with the most and why?
Well, the biggest thing for me is the lack of blood with the injuries, because I've seen lots of crime scene photos over the years and things, and I've had some experiences myself, and it doesn't match. There should be, and now that we finally do see some blood,
Mhm.
there should be more. There should be more. So I'm not buying that.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I think that if they said it happened the way that it happened, there should be more blood in Kaylee and Maddie's room. We have two, right? It should look like Ethan and Xana's room, but it doesn't. So it makes me wonder, was somebody moved afterward? But also the other problem is that we don't have any transfer as far as any of the perpetrators walking out of the bedrooms and making a trail of footprints. Even if they had booties on, there would still be trails. And the fact we don't
Exactly.
see that is strange to me. What did they have on their feet? Were they floating? It's wild, right?
That's definitely a problem for me as well.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with you. Do you have anything else? What's the second thing that you just really struggle with?
Stomach contents.
Oh, yeah. And you know
That-
what? If you combine the two, so if you take the pool of blood and test how dry it is, and then you take the stomach contents, if they had any, and you do the timing, what the stomach you would be able to come up with an almost exact time of death.
Mm,
Even
wow.
just one of those, you should be able to come up with a very, very close to time of death. So you're
Yeah.
right. Is there stomach contents? Did Xana eat the food? Did Ethan eat the food? If so, we should know around the time that they passed away just by the stomach contents.
And even did Maddie eat the food?
Well,
Because,
she did.
well, exactly. She ate it in the car, we're told, right? Which means if they had been maybe somehow ambushed right when they got home or close to when they got home, so around 2:30, there's phone calls. That's weird for me with the timing. Was she making the phone calls? Were Kaylee and Maddie making the phone calls, or was someone using their phone? I don't know.
Right.
We don't know. But the stomach contents, I mean, they would be much more digested if they were attacked at 4.
Yep.
That's 2 hours of digestion.
Yep.
So
why do we not have that information? Do you think
exactly
they tested it, or are they just not giving it to us, or did they not even test it?
No, it's standard in anybody's autopsy. They do the stomach contents. There's no way that they didn't test them, but they're not showing up on the autopsy reports that we see.
Right.
So they've got to be hiding it. And why?
Because it would show a different time of death than their narrative, I'm sure.
So that's a huge one for me. Another thing that I noticed when they were reading the more recent, whoever I was watching was reading the autopsy, is that when they're talking about the blunt force injuries to Kaylee, which originally it was always just a knife, maybe more than I think they said more than one weapon, but it implied that there might have been 2 knives used. But now we're getting all this blunt force. And one of the lines said a pattern blunt force injury. And I'm like, wait, did they say the word pattern? Because now you've got, okay, people talk about the golf clubs. Maybe, if there was a hammer, for example, that would be one type of pattern. What kind of pattern was there? Of course, we're not going to see photos of that.
Right.
But that's huge.
Yeah, that is huge. I don't know if it was Steve that said it, or if it was an FBI or ISP person, law enforcement person, that said she had a striped pattern. It was striped on her face. And that's why many people thought that maybe it was the butt of a gun, because if you look at the larger guns, a lot of those on the butt end have stripes on them.
Sure.
And that could also be why they put the language of having a gun or searching for a gun in their search warrant, in the initial search warrant.
Right.
There was a lot of talk about guns in the beginning too. So
yeah,
it's
I see Mike Smith
be a gun.
Comment. He's saying the heel of a boot. That would be a very distinct pattern.
Yep. Even a lot of people are saying the golf club too has a striped pattern. So that could be it too. The fact that they knew it was a completely different weapon and they didn't look into what it could be tells you they didn't give a shit. They
Yeah.
needed their story, their narrative, and they needed it all to come together and everybody to have the same one so they could look like they know what they're doing and solve the case.
Yep. All right.
All right, the Maven, I appreciate you. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for calling in.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Tracy, can you hear me? Are you there? Is it my end or your end? Because I don't hear you, Dow. Can you hear me?
There, is that better?
Yay, there we go. Thanks for
Yay.
calling. I appreciate you. So
Yeah,
what's the biggest part of the case that you struggle with the most and why?
there's a lot.
Oh, yeah, there is. Which
But the
tells you
thing that
everything right there.
Yeah, the thing that I would like to learn more about is that Nicholas Mowich was found wandering, disoriented, stabbed, beaten. The police found him,
Mhm,
took him to the hospital, and he ended up dying. He told them he was in a car accident.
mhm.
Did they ever find a car? Does anybody know?
Not that I know of. I have never heard of anything of a car. I think most people thought it was maybe that white Elantra in Eugene that was found, but I don't think they've ever associated a car with it at all.
I just wonder if he had made a mistake as one of the quote killers, and that was part of his punishment.
That's interesting.
So
You
I
know,
don't.
that
ahead.
could be very true because he was basically found disoriented walking in a field. Did
Yes.
somebody put him in that field to basically pass in a
Yeah,
field?
that's what I'm thinking. And who just comes up? I mean, a field to me, it would be out in the middle of in the middle of nowhere on a dark highway.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, maybe a passenger or a car drove by, or how did the police find him?
Yeah, I don't
In the
know.
middle of a field or close to a field on a dark highway, wandering around disoriented. It just, to me, that's just always kind of like, was that, And at
Yeah,
the time, when they took him to the hospital, I'm sure they did not know what was going on. You know what I'm saying?
right. And I absolutely agree with you that there's something to it because the doctor that called the tip in that said, "Hey, I have a patient here that says he was in a car accident, but his wounds look like stab wounds. And I
Yes.
know there was this crime that just happened, so he might be involved." And the doctor said, "I want to be anonymous. I will not give you my name."
Isn't that crazy? All
So,
the
yep.
secrets of this tangled web.
Even the doctor wanted to be like, "Hey, I have this possibility for you. Here's a lead because I think they might be involved, but I'm not giving you my name because I don't want nothing to do with it."
Unless he kind of knew maybe a backstory of Mowich and knew that he was involved in a drug cartel or some gang affiliation, and that doctor is like, no way, they're not coming for me.
Maybe.
Well, that's just it. That just boggles my mind. Every piece of this story just boggles my mind. But I appreciate everything you do. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you, Tracy. Thanks for calling. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Steven, hold on.
Oh,
I'll hide it. There we go.
why are you hiding it?
Steven. Yeah, you're not on camera.
Why not?
Do you want to be on camera?
I don't care.
Yes or no?
Go ahead and put me on camera. I don't
All
care.
right. Yay. We have somebody who's not scared to show their face. What's up?
No, I should have shaved though.
Oh, stop.
Anyway, first of all, stomach contents. I had a different thought until I heard stomach contents. There was one of the reliable sources, and there's actually documents that said that Xana's stomach contents did show that she did eat the DoorDash that was delivered after 4 a.m. There's some of the contents in her stomach. I don't remember which content creator said it, but they were showing the documents, and it said it in the documents.
Interesting.
So, but yet a lot of people think she was dead when they brought her home. I don't know. But I mean, the room and stuff, what they're showing now, looks like there was a good struggle in that house.
Oh, absolutely. What else is a problem for you other than the stomach contents? What's another huge problem? The problem I have is that there's too many problems, and there shouldn't be this many in one single case.
Right.
Too
If this
many
was the old,
inconsistencies.
if it was the old days, Dylan and Bethany would be behind bars too.
Oh, absolutely.
And who was the one that she called that Emily's boyfriend was? His name was Hunter, wasn't it?
Yep, Hunter Johnson.
Yeah, he would be in jail too, probably.
Yep.
But anyway, no, in the beginning, before they found Brian Koberger, in the very beginning, there was people being interviewed that were anonymous. This one girl, she was claiming that there was definitely something going and something planned for that weekend. And that's why Dylan, who didn't really get along with Kaylee, decided to go up to Kaylee's home in, I forget the name of the town. But anyway, yeah, make that trip up there just to talk her into coming back for that weekend. And then it seemed like Kaylee was beating up the worst. So I'm thinking, and Dylan, according to, there was just a new video out with one of Dylan's friend's boyfriend stating that he knew Dylan for a long time, and she had no remorse whatsoever for the deaths of those roommates.
I heard that. I heard that. Yep.
So if that's true, it is our theory in the first place that Dylan's job was to get Kaylee there so they could take care of her. And this anonymous person talking said that whatever it was that was planned, Kaylee had to be there for it to work out. So,
Interesting. Yeah.
So, and this was before they found Brian Koberger. And then, like you said, they're coming off with just some touch DNA on the knife sheath. And it just don't make sense if you talk to the people who did the analysis of his cell phone. There's so many of the haters. That's what you call them, right? The haters, the Gelters, I guess you call them. Well, sit there and say he was definitely at the restaurant where these girls worked. Was it Xana and Maddie worked at that restaurant?
Yep, Xana and Maddie.
And anyway, and he was there many times, but he wasn't. He was in the area, but there's nothing putting him in that restaurant.
Yep.
So, I mean, literally, I go like clockwork at my age. I go to where I go, and that's it, basically. So if somebody gets killed when I'm in town, my data shows I'm in that area.
Right. Well, and that's the problem is the town is so small. I think, excuse me, I think there's only 2 towers, if I'm not mistaken. So if you drive by Moscow to go to Target, you're in the area technically. Right.
And that's all it showed is he was in the area. And that doesn't even, literally the cell phone data didn't even, and this was one of the experts working on it. And there's like 3 people working on this data for the cell towers. And all of them said that it only put them within 100 feet of that house. Nothing put him in the
meters.
House. Was it 100 meters?
100 meters, I think.
Oh, either way, that's way too far away for his car to even be there.
It's longer than a football field.
Yeah. What was his cell phone turned? What time was his cell phone turned off? I thought it was later.
2:54 is what they're saying now, but it was a different time before.
Okay. Well, I don't know. There's just so much, and then there's so much propaganda out there too. People who want Brian guilty have him so guilty, they're just bringing things up like he was at the restaurant stalking these girls, and and they say he's a incel when his office coworker literally said she was interested in him romantically.
Right.
And they sit there and ignore that part.
Right.
And then the other guy was interested in the same coworker, and that was giving him all the hate, making all the negative comments about him, and saying how creepy he was. He was interested in the same girl, who this girl was not interested in him, but she was interested in Brian. So
Right.
instantly he took it. You know how jealousy is for young kids. You
Well,
know,
and then he's on camera at Costco the next morning and there's a girl walking with him. You can't be an incel if you are hanging out with girls.
right? You know, and I mean, it's like too. I mean, I don't know where to go for that kind of hookup, but I mean, I, I knew guys when I was my ex-wife's family knew all these shady girls, so you could just go or guys, you can just go to a certain area and find a hookup if that was your problem. And these people were just, I mean, made Brian look like a damn prince, for God's sakes. There's come. So if you don't have to be an incel if you really want to bad enough.
Right.
You know, I don't get into that stuff, but you
People
know,
do though.
I know who to get a hold of if I ever decided to, you know.
Right.
So
To
yeah,
each
there
their own.
I don't believe in that incel thing where people just can't find it,
What
you
do you
know.
think of the lack of footprints from any of the perpetrators outside of the room?
I said, well, remember there was attempted cleanup, they said.
Right.
And I imagine it was the roommates that attempted to clean up.
Possibly.
I don't know. Bethany tries to act like she's so innocent, but I don't know.
Well,
But
she's the
Dylan,
one who distanced herself far and wide from this case and wouldn't come back for nothing.
I don't blame her.
No,
I
I don't
imagine
either, but
okay, say that Dylan is in on it and Bethany had to go along with it for whatever was going down. You know, maybe Bethany was kind of innocent, but just, you know, how when you're young and dumb and you hang around the wrong group, you know what you do.
yep.
You know how you let get slide by. Maybe that's all Bethany did.
Maybe all
I mean,
she needed to hear was if you open your mouth, you're going to be next. And so she ran as fast as she could and never
it
looked
could
back.
be. But Dylan just seems to be, and in her court appearance, I mean, basically what she stated was, I heard what she was saying in a movie, I don't know, back from the 80s or 90s, you know, and she was acting. It's like, she just seems so fake with it, you
Yeah.
know, and, you know, I don't know. I mean, and then people are
She
saying
was
how he
more
got so
upset.
quiet.
She was more upset at the court appearance 3 years later than she was right when it
Right,
happened or in those
right,
8 hours that she chose not to call 911.
right. I really believe that Dylan was in on it. You know, I mean, I do.
It's hard to believe not. And I think now that we're seeing a lot of the body worn camera that we see some of the officers didn't believe her initially either, and neither did the grand jury.
I didn't know about the grand jury.
The grand jury wanted to charge her.
Oh, well, why didn't she
Yeah.
get charged then?
They were like, this is sketchy. Bring her back. We want to hear more from her because this looks like a problem here. She sounds shady.
Yeah, she does. I mean, and her initial reaction to the first responders was she kept repeating herself, and it's like she was rehearsing it all night, you
Yep,
know. And yeah, I don't know.
probably.
And then when
All right.
Hunter and Emily was interviewed together, Hunter kept looking at Emily like, "Am I saying the right things? Am I saying the right things?" You ever
I think
notice
all
that?
their stories are weird.
Yeah,
There's one piece about everybody's story that just doesn't add up.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if one of them was a CI, but I guess a cop did mention that one of them was. But why would these kids be getting together to take out these 4 people? I mean, or was Kaylee actually the CI and they were wanting to take her out, but the other 3, Maddie and Ethan and Vanna, didn't want that to happen?
Yeah,
Or
possibly.
maybe it went too far. They're teaching Kaylee a lesson, but because remember, she didn't move much. They're really beating on her. Maybe they tried to stop it, and that's why it's such a bloody mess and everything, too.
Possible. I feel like anything's possible in this case.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you
mean,
so
it's
much
just,
for calling, Stephen. I'm going to let Paul come up in here. So thank you
all
for
right.
calling. I really appreciate you.
Yep,
Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
you too.
Thank you. All right. Paul, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
All
Can you hear
right.
me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yep. You can show me. I don't mind.
Okay. All right. What's up?
What's up? How's it going?
All right. So what about this case bothers you the most or that you struggle with the most and why?
um, A lot of it doesn't sit right.
A lot of it?
And yeah, I think the girls left the door open for a reason, because there was a man at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning that saw the door wide open.
Mm-hmm. Both
So I
doors,
was,
front and back.
yeah, I was thinking that they did that on purpose for somebody to stumble in, but nobody did, so they had to.
That's an interesting thought. So you think that somebody might have left the door open so somebody else would discover it?
Yeah,
Because I think a lot of people think that the door was left open so it would change the time of death because it was so cold. But
yeah.
you thinking that it was so maybe somebody else would discover it is very,
I think,
very interesting.
I think they did that for a reason, but nobody did discover it.
Mm-mm.
So they had to change their story, and that's why you've got that 8-hour delay.
That's very interesting. That is a
You
very
know?
good thought because eventually, before Hunter came there to open the door, when they called them over there, the door got shut somehow. So one of them had to shut it.
Yeah.
So if it was open
And
from
another
8 in the
thing,
morning till 11, then who shut it from 11 to 11:45 when Hunter got there?
and bear in mind the time of the year. It was cold,
28 degrees.
right? So if you're going to leave your door open and you're in that wooden house, you're going to feel it straight away.
Absolutely.
Another thing that's got me thinking, and it's quite recently actually, is let's say Brian Koberger was the first person, was the person that did this, but he didn't know the layout of the house or anything.
Right.
There was no red stuff on any of the door handles. So
Mm-mm.
how did he know what rooms to go in?
Right.
Yeah. And the balcony door was left open.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was 3 people involved, at
Mm-hmm.
least. I think this is my theory. I think Ethan and Xana, we don't know much about their timeline, and I think that that's played that way for a reason. I think that they was the first before Kaylee and Maddie
Mm-hmm.
came back. That's why you can hear all that screaming at 2 o'clock or 1:49, something like that.
Yeah.
They came back, and that's when you hear all the screaming. And I think that I get the names muddled up. The small petite one,
Bethany?
No.
Oh,
not
the
Bethany.
victims, Maddie.
Maddie. I
Mm-hmm.
think she was in the bedroom when it happened, and I think Kaylee was in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going off that statement saying that she took the dog upstairs, and because I don't think they was there. There's a part of me believes that they was not in that house. You know, the 2 surviving roommates.
Mm-hmm.
And
Now, a lot of people do think that either one or both of the surviving roommates were not there. A lot of people do
yeah,
think that. Or left at a certain time and then came back or something.
that they don't make sense because one of the roommates' bedroom is on the ground floor.
Mm-hmm.
So if there was attack happening in the house, we now know from the pictures that it was loud, right? It
Mm-hmm.
was gruesome. So she would have definitely heard that. I live in a brick house and I can hear what's going off now.
Oh, yeah. The roommates that lived there, or the people that lived in that house before all these girls did, they said that there's no way that the roommates didn't hear it, because you can hear every step and tiptoe that anybody takes in that house. You can hear everything.
So if you're gonna be in your room when all this is kicking off and you're on the ground floor and you dare leave your door, you can just pop out your window, because her window was on the ground level,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and she could have run to one of the neighbours and got help that way or something. You know, that doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't. There's just so much in this case. You can take any tiny detail of this case and we can find at least one thing wrong with that detail that they've given us. And that's the problem. We shouldn't have this many questions and things that don't add up and inconsistencies within one case.
And the car with no DNA.
Yeah.
That's a big one, that, because even you're talking like micro bits of DNA that you can't even see with your eyes. You know, that there would be something in that car.
Oh yeah, there's no way that any person who did this and then jumped in their car, there's no way that person could clean out every piece of DNA from what they got on themselves in that crime scene. They can't clean all that out. There's no way. It's not possible. And speaking of the white car, I always wondered, why did law enforcement decide to ignore the first car that pulled in and ignore the third car that pulled in and only focused on the white car in the middle, or the light colored car in the middle?
The thing I get with that car is, I think that the car was just a pickup. I think they've done Ethan and Xana first. They waited there for Kaylee and Maddie to come home. They did what they needed to do there, and then they started cleaning up.
Mm-hmm.
Because that ping pong table, they're so flimsy. You could knock that over easy, and it's still there, and the cups are all in the triangle, but it's covered in blood, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's got Kaylee's blood all over it. 100% Kaylee's blood.
see, she was in the living room.
She was in the living room.
I think she got whacked in the living room and then taken upstairs.
Mm-hmm. It's very possible, yeah.
I believe that car came just to pick those up and help with the cleanup, because the car was there, what, 8 minutes?
Yep.
Was
Well,
it eight?
yeah, about 8 minutes.
8 minutes. So they probably got changed, did what they, maybe they didn't get changed. Maybe it's a completely different car.
Could be, yeah.
I noticed that car in the picture, in one of the pictures that we used at the court, now to me, it looked like it was a two-door car.
Which car?
In one of the pictures, it was on one of the main strips that they used.
Okay.
It looked like a two-door car. And
Okay.
But Brian's is a four-door car and no fog lights. And
I'll have to go back and look.
That's starting to get a lot of momentum and attraction, that is now. So there's that. I don't know. Maybe DK is involved. We don't know. Right? He could have been the driver, for all we know, really. But I don't know. Is he just stepping into cover so they can work on it more and get? I don't know.
Yeah. There's so many things we could get into, right? Well, I appreciate you for calling. I'm going to go ahead and jump off. So I appreciate you calling in. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I have one last. Thank you for the people calling in. I appreciate all of you guys. I would like to do this more often. I'd like to do like a call in maybe every Friday or something. So some of you guys, don't be scared. Don't be scared, y'all. Don't be scared like Dylan was scared. So I got one more screen for y'all to share. We are going to do Bronx's Buddy of the Day. Ready? Do-do-do-do. So on the left here, we have Bailey and Dizzy. And this was sent in by one of our subscribers named Glenn. And these are his fur babies. This is Bailey giving the side eye and Dizzy all snuggled up. So, so cute. And Bailey's coloring reminds me of Bronx. I think Bailey has a little bit more light brown, but the face and the stripe on the head looks so much like Bronx. So cute. And then on the right-hand side, we have Carol's little baby, and her name is Ginger. So we've got Bailey and Dizzy, the pups, on the left, and then we've got Cutie Patootie Ginger on the right over here. Carol sent in her kitty. She looks like she's just so calm and chill, right, guys? I love the fur babies. So these are Bronx's Buddy of the Day. There you have it. So anybody who wants to send in their fur baby, you can go ahead and email me. My email is usually in the description box of every video. It's just bronxtalestruecrime@gmail.com. And I'm going to share somebody's fur baby at the end of each show. If you want to go ahead and email me your fur baby, and we'll do a little tiny segment like this right before we hop off on every show. So thank you, Glenn and Carol, for sending in your babies. I very much appreciate it. They're so adorable. And don't forget, guys, to catch us tomorrow over on Devil's Advocate, 8 p.m. Central. Don't miss it. It's going to be a great show. I'm so stinking excited. You have no idea. Go ahead and tune in tomorrow. Don't forget, I'll post the link as soon as I have it. Thank you to my mods. You guys are the best mods on YouTube. I promise you, you are. I appreciate all of you guys so, so, so much. Do something nice for yourself. Be kind, but more importantly, be kind to your animals. Have a wonderful evening. Hopefully, I'll see y'all tomorrow on Devil's Advocate.